going to be there's going to be no adventure left to have had the adventure.
But you see, there's something that pulls a person towards this journey way, way back.
Mm.
Deep inside, there is a memory. There is something inside of us that comes from behind that veil, behind the place of our own birth. It's as if you have tasted of something somewhere in your past that's been so high, so much light, so much energy that nothing you can experience through any of your senses or thoughts can be enough.
Mm.
Any thoughts
Makes
on
you
that?
want to say,
I think the only veil is, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's like this veil of like,
First.
um, because it's kind of like for like the female, it's like the female is like this overarching existence that allows, certain people to, I don't know, just kind of like exist, like it's either you experience it or you don't.
Deep inside, there is a memory, there is something inside each of us that comes from behind that veil, behind the place of our own birth. It's as if you tasted of something
Wow.
somewhere in your past. So much light, so much energy that nothing you can experience through any of your senses or thoughts can be enough. Go, go to the next one.
Somewhere inside everybody knows that there is a place which is totally fulfilling. Not a desperate flick of fulfillment. It is a state of fulfillment. You may experience despair that you'll never ever know. Good, because through the despair and through that surrender, you get closer to it. Come surrender. Come surrender. Surrender. Yeah.
Because through that despair and through that surrender comes surrender. You get closer to it. That's like I was saying, the forceful surrender, because we can our thoughts are in time and space, and so trying to think about something and labeling it and boxing it in
They
kind of limits
wild.
it.
Of like fulfillment. I'm like, some of us do this on this journey. I'm like, that is too funny. I'm like, and what keeps you from that place and that gives you that total feeling and experience and knowing of fulfillment is that all of this posturing, all of this thoughts, all of your way of organizing your world, all of your plans, all of your games you're exploring.
Yeah, and the adventurer wants to keep on adventuring.
I'm like, some of us do go on this journey. We didn't stand up and say that we volunteered. It didn't work that way at all. It was kind of like the water was a part of the cave, and the mountain was a part of the animal, and the mountain solidified the moon, and the moon solidified the waves, and the waves
It's a
settled the
failed
fire,
podcast.
and the fire settled the earth, and the earth settled moment line.
And what keeps you from that place that gives you the total feeling and experience and knowing of fulfillment is all of this posturing and all. Oh, you already read that. Good job.
Thanks.
What does that mean to you?
Well,
And then the next page, you read the next one too.
it's a little more. Like the image of a caterpillar enclosing itself in a cocoon in order to go through the metamorphosis to emerge as a butterfly. The caterpillar doesn't say, well, now I'm going to climb into this cocoon and come out a butterfly. It doesn't say it, it just happens.
It's just an inevitable process. It's inevitable. It's just happening. It's got to happen that way.
Do the caterpillar even know that it's gonna become a butterfly?
On some level, but maybe not on a different level.
It's like because it
In
going
time
to
and
Wow.
in time.
in
What?
time and space, it probably doesn't. But the soul contract or the spirit or the consciousness, whatever words we want to call it, probably has an idea or sees exactly what's going to happen. But it can't be perceived, or that change really can't be perceived in the same way as actually going through it. It's like opening up, those reels of the movie theater. They used to have these reels going out. And so you can look at the one frame, you can look at the other frame, and you can see all the frames at the same time. But unless you start playing the reel, you're not going to see how it happens. So that timeless state is like seeing you're in I remember, True, you're in a trip where you're seeing all these television screens going on. Some might call it like the oversoul, or some might call it, different things.
Wow. I was like, that's deception.
We're talking about a metamorphosis. We're talking about going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. We're talking about how to become a butterfly. I mean, the caterpillar isn't walking around saying, man, soon I'll be a butterfly, because as long as he's busy being a caterpillar, he can't be a butterfly. It's only when the caterpillarness is done, one starts to be a butterfly. That again is part of this paradox. You cannot rip away caterpillarness. So it's like needed. Sometimes we see the next step in the process and so anxious, worrisome. Oh, let me get to that next part. Well, this part is exactly meant to be how it is right now. It's happening. It couldn't happen any other way. So being acceptive or receptive to that, I don't have to stop my adventuring. I can enjoy the adventure. I can enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm.
The whole trip occurs in an unfolding process under which you have no control. Well, that's a hard one. What am I doing here if I have no control? You mean I don't have a choice? Can I say this is nonsense? Can I say this is important? Your lecture changed my whole life. You think that's a choice? No, not at all. It's an unfolding process.
Mm-hmm.
No accidents. There are no coincidences. Read that one right after no accidents.
Kind of just lost my space real quick.
There's a big picture of a guy in the clouds, maybe it looks like.
Oh, okay. If you could stand back far enough and watch the whole process, you would see you are a totally determined being. The very moment you will wake up is totally determined how long you will sleep. is totally determine what you will hear of what I say. Is totally determined. There are no accidents in this business at all. Accidents are just where from you're looking. To the ego, it looks like it's miracles and accidents. No miracles, no accidents. It's just your vantage point that you're sort of stuck in.
The whole trip I'm talking about is fraught with paradox, 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 paradox. The most exquisite paradox: as soon as you give it all up, you can have it all. How about that one? As soon as you give it all up, you can have it all. As long as you want power, you can't have it, Cryo. The minute you don't want power, you'll have more power than you ever dreamed possible. What a weird thing. As long as you have an ego, you're on a limited trip. I would
Damn.
correct that now by saying, as long as you identify with the limited part of yourself, you're on a limited trip. Sometimes the new age tends to see ego as a bad thing, but our ego actually, the limitation can be a good thing, right? We shouldn't give up our caterpillarness, which might be, the ego. Go ahead. You're on a trivial trip.
Mm-hmm. It's loading right now. I just gotta wait for it to load. 1, 2, 2. Let me see. A little more of a caterpillar metamorphosis. The Mirage. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. You're on a trivial trip that's going to last maybe what, 60, say 70, maybe 80 years, and full with fear of its end, trying to make its own eternity. Well, if I am not speaking, I am not what I thought it was. How did I get into this? Who am I? For only when I know who I am will I know what is possible.
Understanding the possibility. There are 3 ways in which one knows what we are talking about tonight. One way in which you know about what it is, through direct experience, through some way or another, through being alone in the desert, through falling in love, through bearing a child, through nearly dying, through turning on, through yoga, through taking any one of your senses and pushing it beyond itself. Going through it, you have touched a place inside yourself that has an intuitive validity, right? Because I can't take your experience from you. You can't take my experience from me. I went through it. Like that's exactly what happened at the time it happened.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do you have any thoughts, or go ahead? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like are we scared of infinity? Like, are we scared to live our entire life? Because I feel like, they kind of like fit everything inside of life. Like is like the last thing to overcome. But we keep on doing it. We continue to live, and we live, different lives, just like it's not going to be this again next time. It's going to be something different. However, life continues to live itself, through different things. So it's like there's different lives. There's different life.
That's right. I've been with literally now well over 100 people who have had such an experience, which was powerful and valid, but it was so discontinuous with their normal consciousness that they screamed for help. The help
Hmm.
the help that was available to them was a group of minds which said, "That's all right. You just gone crazy." That is
Mm.
the experience that you just had is an experience of psychosis, right? Because you asked for help, and if that person hasn't seen the sunrise and they're blind, and you're asking for help with the sunrise, they're not going to be able to tell you. They're going to think that you're crazy because they have never seen a sunrise.
Right.
William James said, "Our normal waking consciousness is but one special type of consciousness, whilst all about it,
Oh,
parted from it, from the filmiest of screens, there lies potential forms of consciousness entirely different. We may go
well,
through life without suspecting their existence, but apply the requisite stimulus, and at a touch, they are there all in their completeness. Definite types of mentality which probably somewhere have their own field of application and adaptation." Does that make sense?
yeah.
No account of the universe in its totality can be final, which leaves these other forms of consciousness quite disregarded. Now to regard them is the question, for they are so discontinuous with ordinary consciousness, they may determine attitudes, though they cannot furnish formulas, and open a region, though they fail to give a map. At any rate, concludes James, they forbid our premature closing of accounts with reality. In spite of what he said, we've closed our accounts with reality. Well, most of us have. So it's like if everybody's got noses and somebody cuts off their nose and says, "Oh, this is a better way to do that," well, we're going to discard them because everybody is doing it this other
I'm
way.
on YouTube. I ain't on TikTok.
So like seems weird. Seems like we get discounted. We get called crazy. We get called psychotic or whatever.
Mm.
That experience that you had is psychotic. I'll give you Thorazine. It's not valid. You're hallucinating. What do you mean you're God? The understanding of the possibility may have come to you directly through the experience itself, or it may have come to you through inference through your intellect. You may have
Right.
reasoned until you saw the particular position that the rational man is in, and you realize that there must be something else, although you have got no experience, although you have not experienced it. You just infer the presence of something else.
Right.
Read that
Right.
next one.
Uh,
It says 18 at the bottom. I think it's page 38.
okay. It doesn't quite make sense. Nothing turns you on. You haven't experienced it directly, but you figured there must be something else, something there. And then you read all the writings of St. John's of the Cross and St. Teresa of Avila and all of the mystics and visionaries in recorded history. And you say, well, you can't all be nuts. You must be talking about something. So you sort of infer the presence of this other thing, but you don't know it in your guts. Now that's a tough one to be in that position.
Then the third way is that you trust the fact that there are realized beings, and they said it, and therefore you know it to be true. It's not inference anymore. It's not an intellectual process. You just accept what they have said. That's
Right.
called faith.
Mm. Faith. And yeah. See, we've gotten so super sophisticated in our evaluative mechanisms that you question everything you hear. How do you know you're not being hustled? I mean, was that Jesus up to? Was the game man? What's he into? And he especially felt paranoid. If you are the one, the keepers of the tables in the temple, you are committed to an existing system with great attachment. Somewhere or another, most of you in this room, most of you, not all of you, most of you have sensed the possibility, but you can't quite. Damn. But you can't quite surrender. What are you giving up? A hollow little trip that's good for another 40 years at best? You're giving it up to an eternal union, pure energy and pure light. Because surrender means you no longer die. It is simple.
Simple as that.
It is simple as that. No longer die as that. That's what it means, because you are that lives and dies you go ego. And fear of death only becomes through the brittle of the ego. Total.
Surrender means you no longer die. It's as simple as that. That's what it means. Because you that lives and dies is you, ego. And fear of death only comes through the brittleness of the ego, of the
My bad. What's
identification
up
with the
with it, Hugo? I'm
limited.
just listening to them
Surrender,
Yep.
surrender.
right now.
There
So
is no more you. There is
it's
no
like I'm
more
not
life
even
and death.
talking.
Yeah, I'm going to die. Wow, dig that. I'm going to live. Wow, dig that. Garbage. Wow, new blossoms on the tree. Wow.
Mhm.
Patterns of energy. All patterns of energy. You're part of it all. That's the place. If I'm taking out the trash, I'm taking out the trash. If I'm writing a book, I'm writing a book. If I'm dying, then I'm dying. If I'm living, then I'm living. Like,
Yeah. Like the yeah.
Yes,
what do
that's
you
just
want to do
saying
today,
where
Marty?
he comes from.
What'd you say? Ty?
It's kind of confusing to say again, but it was that's where the saying like "little old me" comes from. When people complain, it is a little old me. Like that is happening to you, and it's all right. I
Mhm.
think that's one episode. The next episode comes on tomorrow.
What do you want to do today, Marty? I don't care. What do you want to do? I remember a few days ago staying in London. We had fled from Copenhagen, where we had a very unfortunate scene at a psychological convention. We were in London, and Tim and Bill Burrows and I were walking down the street high on something or other, and we were spending days going from park to tea room to park to tea room. And every now and again, we'd hit a corner and somebody would say, well, we should cross the street. And we'd stand there because nobody would seem to care, because we were all fulfilled at that moment. Right there in the street corner in London, we were all just very, very high.
Mhm.
You don't have to have what's holding you back? Your thoughts? Huh? You've got to give them up. That's just limitation planning.
Yup.
What are you doing? Planning for the future? Well, it's all right now, but later, forget about it, baby. That's later. Now is
Let it.
now. Are you going to be here or not? It's as simple as that. So many things to do yet. Well, that'll sure keep you from being here and now. Life is passing me by. Hmm. But if I just live in the here and now, won't there be chaos? What happens if the telephone rings? Well, the here and now, in fact, that telephone is ringing. Pick it up. Well, if what if somebody wants me to make an appointment to see me 3 weeks from now? Right. Well, write it down. That's here and now. Well, what happens 3 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now, there's that appointment. That then that is here and now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Read that next one. When your child comes down from the stairs.
When your child comes down from the stairs, this is the first moment all over again. This is the Buddha meeting Buddha. Over toast, over milk, over mood tea, and coffee, and porridge, and brown rice. We never had breakfast before. This is it. This is all there is right now. If it's not good enough, man, it's not good enough.
Mm. Now, about 5 years ago, I'm living with this community in California with a very beautiful high being, Steve Durkee, a visionary artist. Very
Hmm.
beautiful guy, his wife and child. And I'd have a day off, and it'd be Saturday, and we'd go to the store. The dog, the babies, we'd all get into the Volkswagen microbus. There'd be Jane, the gal I was living with, and her baby and me, and Steve and Barbara, and the whole scene going shopping.
Mm.
Wah! We'd get to the door, and Dakota, Steve's daughter, would start to cry. Well, now we got to get to the store. I have Saturday mornings free, and Saturdays we shop. All right, Kobe? Cool it. Colby doesn't cool it. She cries. Well, maybe.
Colby doesn't cool it.
Well, maybe she'll go to the store with Colby crying. Or, no, Colby doesn't like that. She cries louder. Or maybe Barbara had better stay home with Kobe. Let's go. Come on. Where are we going? Or aren't we? What's wrong with Kobe? She's just being price efficiency. What happened to the vibrations? What happened to the human beings in that shuffle? So we do this absurd thing, and we all stop and gather. We'd sit down and join hands around this little kid. We'd cool ourselves out while we would stop crying. Then we'd go to the store.
Cool.
Steve taught me that if you get so efficient, you've got to turn off all the vibrations of the scene because you're so busy about the future or the past where time has caught you. It costs too much. 1, 2, me. Go ahead and read that next one. And you finally understand.
And you finally understand the message you communicate with another human being has nothing to do with what you say. It has nothing to do with the look on the musculature of your face. It's much deeper than that, much deeper. It's the vibrations that emanate from you.
If your vibrations are paranoid, that's what's being received. And when you're around pets or birds or cats, particularly, or very young children or flipped out on psychotics, they will know you immediately. You can come and say, "Hello, dear, how are you?" And the dog will growl. You can't come on because they're listening to the vibrations that the hand is reaching out and sending. Go ahead.
Yep. I think people say they don't like politics in a way because
Right,
it's a way of showing up in a way where you're not really showing your full self. It's
right.
trying to play a whole systematic of belief patterns that seem to be agreed upon because it's helping people survive when they were in a moment of unknowingness in a way and giving something to be catered to. So when we like really put that on the outside as well, we really being like combining both. I'm going off topic, but combining like the so-called higher and the lower. Like that's why the Pharaoh was
Mhm.
so cool, because he was
Mm.
had um the upper and the lower kingdom of Egypt on his crown, and he represented like the heavens, but incarnated form as a person. But he was able to realize all of that and pronounce himself as such, and that's what made him Pharaoh. And he's like in his mind and to the other people as well. And it was probably other people walked around. I'm a pharaoh too. Ain't just that guy up there on the throne. I see what he's talking about. But that's what the message was supposed to say. Not just that he's the one, but this is the image of what we do.
Mm.
And it's always can be readily picked up by people, even across generations. We still talk about the pharaohs and stuff like that.
Right, as a possibility. In a way, we live for others. The, the apple tree doesn't eat apples. The plum tree doesn't eat plums, right? It gives them to the community. So in some way, our gifts are for everybody else.
Um,
And you realize,
and you realize that every moment you are a full statement of your being, and you're sending out vibrations that are affecting everything around you, which in turn is affecting everything that comes back. And when you meet somebody who is caught in the world of we and them, and you are him to that person, and you get caught in his mind net, you are both just intensifying one another's paranoia.
mm, hippies create police. Police create hippies. If you're in polarity, you're creating polar opposites. You can only protest effectively when you love the person whose ideas you're protesting against as much as you love yourself. You can only you can only protest effectively when you love the person whose ideas you're
You are.
protesting against as much as you love yourself.
Love has to spring spontaneous from within, and it is no way amenable to any form of inner or outer force. Love and coercion can never go together. But love cannot be forced on anyone. It can be awakened in him through love itself. Love is essentially self-communicative, and who did not have it catch it from those who have it. True love is unconqueror,
Oh boy.
able and irresistible, and it goes on gathering power and spreading itself until eventually it transforms everyone who it touches. May her Bubba.
The fact of the matter is, you go out on the astral plane, you see more and more, and the final thing you see in the world of form, before you go into the formless, is a total unity. You see the world of yin and yang. And in the world of yin and yang, on another astral plane, it's one of the highest planes, but in the world of form, it's still duality. It's still polarization. There is God, there is man, there is good, there is evil. Yes, no, pleasure, pain, loss, gain. The world of everybody is living, the world most everybody is living in most of the time.
Mm.
Go ahead.
The only way out of that is to take the poles of every set of opposites and see the way in which they are one. And if you can get into that place where you see the interrelationship of everything, you and that one and it all, then no longer you are attached to your polar position. The whole thing is about generation gaps. It's a hype. The spirit is the spirit. And when and you can center and see your whole life as a story in which chapters are.
Unfolding. Then the moment to moment ego involvement I am getting, am I getting enough at this moment, ceases to be dominant, and you start to live in the way, or the Tao. Jesus said, I am the way. It's the same way. The way is the way is the way.
Mm.
Any thoughts? Should we continue?
Um yeah, it's like the moment to moment. I think it's part of like this moment that we're in. It's like Earth. It's like, Earth has like four different or three different moments. Um because um it is the opposite of congruency. So it's like we are the opposite of each other. I mean, we are the opposites of ourselves. And what I mean by that is like, um we are our writings, we are our imagination, we are our creation. So like Earth, we like I am Earth. So Earth is me, Earth is you, and Earth is Earth. So um it seems like, there's always a congruency in relationship.
In opposites, in polarities, in things that seem like they're in conflict, there is a congruency.
And think about it, and conflict and then congruent. There has to be some type of deception, like magic mushrooms. They tell you to shush. The um you stay silent so that you can listen. And
Yeah,
then when you're
instead of
and
trying
then
to
when you're
name
ready to talk,
everything.
you start smoking weed.
The way is the harmony of the universe. When one comes into the spirit, when one sees how it is, one understands that behind all the individual differences of man, woman, big, little, old, young, good, bad, every label you can think of becomes background instead
Hmm.
of figure out what it stands of instead of figure. What stands out is,
Jeez.
go ahead, here we are.
No, you may continue. I was just saying Jesus because I was
Oh,
just saying that a lot by accident.
here we are, here and now. That's all there is. If it isn't beautiful, man, there's nothing. So you say, well, I can't have it beautiful now, but later, when we get food home, it'll be beautiful. Later never
Hmm.
exists. What happens to life insurance, to tenure, to planning, to saving, to responsibilities? Nothing's happened to any of it. Surfing. That's Wild Man Ninja on the waves
Mm.
on one foot. Either you do it like it's a big weight on you, or you do it
Mm.
as if it's part of the dance. When you understand the thought is the thought of the thoughtless, your singing and dancing is no other than the voice of the Dharma.
Mm.
It's kind of like
Mm.
what Ty was just saying, the bridging between the higher and the lower. like the Anahata
Mhm.
symbol with one triangle going up and one triangle going down, creating this union.
Mhm.
Singing and dancing and insurance and savings accounts and job and responsibility. Do you
Mhm.
do it from Uck or do you do it from Shiva's dance of life? Do you surf through it all or do you carry it around like a load, like a heavy load? If only you could throw it off. If only I didn't have these kids around my neck. You can't get away from the day because it's in your head. That's what you're trying to get away from. And is the and is to that's what you're trying to that's that you're trying to get away from. And the only way to get away is to change your head. Simple as that. You want to change your environment? Change your head. It's all in the ecstatic moment. If you don't know how to dig it, if it's not a travesty, that's all. Profane. Desire. My first thing in my teacher's book, first thing he ever wrote on his slate, because he was silent, was desire is a trap. Desirelessness is moksha or liberation. Desire is
What's
the
up,
creator.
Charles? Just
Desire
listening
is
to
the
them talk
destroyer.
through
Desire is the universe.
this be here, be
And
now
that applies to the
versus.
physical plane, the astral plane, and the causal plane. Any thoughts?
Yeah. I just I, I would, you know what I'm saying? Like for me to, you know what I'm saying, for me to play, um, these play these moments, it's like there's everything is fun. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're getting to the fun part. Being fun is ordinary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, that that that's what's liberating is that there is deception. That's the liberation, is that there is deception. I feel free because there is deception. I don't have to explain myself to everyone. I don't have to tell the truth all the time because sometimes I don't know the truth. So I think that's the deception, is that we're progressing towards the moment.
And what if it wasn't no deception? It was all just different forms of truth.
Then
Some
everybody
truth
would be
hurt
on the
people.
same everybody
Some
would be
people,
on the same level and we would all be the same. We would be 100% the same.
some truths hurt people. Some truths enlighten people. Some people take hurt things in a aggressive way. Some people
Mhm.
take those things in a
Mhm.
teaching way. And as there's so many numbers, there's so many people and so many personalities that have in the calculations of what life is at the end of it, of the equation.
There's no one truth. But I think you're right, Rance. I think deception is real. And I think that
Wow.
we've
Okay.
Is
never mind.
is the game peekaboo a deception?
Yes, that's what it is. It's like peekaboo. I see you. You can clearly see
Well,
that
let me get
person's
my
eye,
suit and tie.
but because they
'Cause I'm
open
the
their eyes,
green.
now you can see them. We're tricking ourselves.
What
We're
if you
tricking
always
ourselves.
seeing them?
There's
What
nobody
if,
there.
what if
Now they're there.
always seeing that world, but it's just not in the way that we believe it to be true? And that's when you hear people say, growing up, you gotta be your dream. You got an imagination. You can be anything you want. What's going on in that head of yours? Are you
That,
crazy? Oh, you where you come up with that from? What's that about that? Can that be like layers of perceiving that same thing? Just like somebody got a picture. Like when you go to art
Yeah.
class, a naked person sitting there.
Deception.
They balls out. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. They balls out with titties out, anything. All
Balls
50
out,
people in
titties
here are
out.
going to draw a different picture. But all of those pictures, they go home to their family members, show them, or to their friends. They like, this is the best picture I ever did. Look, this is exactly what I saw, and I love it. But it's not the person, but it's still the person. So are they deceiving them by showing them the picture and saying, hey, this is that exact guy? Or is that just what it is? A reflection of a reflection of a reflection.
Cool. Yeah, is a mirror image a lie? Is the mirror a liar?
So yeah, well, yes and no. So I think
No.
there's different. Well, yeah, we. I agree with Ty that there's different levels of truth, and I also agree with Rance that truth can be called deception because it doesn't really matter what we call it generally. Now,
Right.
the
Is what
way
it
we're
is.
the way we're understanding these meanings to ourselves has an impact, but the way that my meanings appear to you, that's not my really responsibility. It's my responsibility to enunciate it or transmit it clearly, but then it's not up to me. I have no expectations of how you perceive me. I might have my balls out. I might have shaved my head, or might all these different things, and if I'm okay with that, well, that's what it's going to be. And it kind of so Terrence Howard's 1 squared equals 2, or you have a male, or you get 2 people and they make a baby, so 1 plus 1, or 1 times 1 can equal 3. So you have a mother, father, and a child. So it's not.
You got a mother, father, and a child.
Crazy.
I think
It's crazy because when he said 1 times 1 equals 2, I was like, no, the fuck it doesn't. But then when he was like, one times, what did he say? 1 times 1 or 1 plus 1?
I quietly started
1 squared
recording
is 1
now.
times
My
1.
happy journey with the triangle. I love
1
both of you.
squared equals 3.
I hope you
1 squared can equal 2, 3, or infinity.
just
It's based on the parameters which we're defining that 1.
back in June.
These math symbols we ascribe meaning to. And so through expanding the boundary of how we see these symbols, we can then discover more about our natural environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think both Rance and Ty are correct. I think that we're all correct in our own ways. And I like how truth gives that respect to people of, if you believe it, then it's true. And who am I to tell you that you're not,
Yeah, that part too. But what did he say? 1 times 1 equals 2 or 3?
1 times 1 equals 2. That was his
Oh,
equation that he patented. But I was just going farther. I was taking that,
to the mother, the father, and the baby.
Right. If we have 1 flower that has, 1 stamen on it, and it gets pollinated, that flower could, depending on the type of plant, could make more than 1 or 2 fruit from there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, that part too.
You got
that part too.
You gotta see that. That's why everybody made sense back in the day, because they was just using what was around them to tell stories to show what's happening in life more than it's a drag.
My ice. My ice cube. I think that was a Lily or something like that.
If 7 equals 49, how the hell does 1 times 1 equal 1? Oh my God, I never thought about this.
So if I see myself as 1, and I'm in a room with 3 other people, how many of me are there? Just like Ty's example. Well, there's 4 of me actually. So 1 times 1 can equal 4 in that instance.
You said I was free to go.
No, but and then you just like brush it off like that's math. Like that's how the math works. This,
Right.
that's what
Yo,
that's
I'm about to tea foods.
But if you really think about it, how the fuck does 1 times 1 equal 1 and 7 times 7 equal 49?
Yeah.
Man,
I'll
synchronistic.
tell you.
It's supposed to make sense.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Deception.
So
This
Nah, this is the answer though. This is you ready? 1 times 1 equals 1. You ready? Because when you have 1 and then you multiply it, right? You get 1. You get 1. You're multiplying it by itself because it is 1. Now, what is 1?
you're repeating what you heard in school. You're repeating what you heard in school.
well, it's
Make it
one
make sense
one
to you.
because is when you do
So
time
what
change
is 1 though?
it's
I
super.
can't fucking
It's
take
more of
that.
a grouping thing than a
Oh, God.
Well,
You got the elevator.
beyond the spirituality is me.
one group of or one group of 2 or one group of 3, one group of 4, instead of like 1 times 5, stuff like that. But that's just math.
Well, we can see that matter cannot be, energy cannot be destroyed, right? It only transforms. So a symbol being called 1 is being destroyed when it's multiplying by itself.
Every number times every number is infinity, which is not a number. That's not helpful in the mathematical sense, but I thought I'd share that. But I can't share what's already been given, something that's never been born.
Okay, to a math nerd.
Math nerds hate this one simple trick. Doctors hate him.
Googles to get answers and formulas from the land of Tulo.
There's this one white coat scientist, mathematician. He lives out on the outskirts of town. He only has a blackboard in his house. And he writes on it with chalk all day. He can help you. But Team Rocket is. That's why they say keep Team Rocket close. And your friends closer, whatever they say.
And me out farther.
Deception. And meow farther. Because they don't have deception. Team Rocket tells you they're trying to steal your Pikachu.
Yo, since
Pikachu, no!
friends, I'm playing.
They send them on the astral flights, too. They send them into their dreams. They say, twinkle, twinkle. Team Rocket just got blasted into the sky. Twinkle.
Heaven, demons, hell, as well as the demons on 43rd Street, as well as the demons on the astral plane, all are creations of desire. All of the manifestations of the Divine Mother are creations of desire. That's why the Naga, the naked ascetic, worked on getting Ramakrishna to go beyond his love for Kali, give up even the desire to be experiencing the bliss of being at all, or being with the Divine Mother.
Y'all gotta join Discord.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna be
Desiree.
back in a little bit because I'm about to play the game with Blake and he want me to go live with him. So I'm gonna be back later though tonight.
All
We're
right.
going to talk about Maya